Hello, I'm Andrew Turner, and for the last 10 years I've had the privilege of serving as the executive director of the Bankruptcy Inn of Court here in New Jersey. For the last 5.5 years I've also served as a member of the Board of Trustees for the American Inns of Court Foundation. Our group is the largest organization in the country dedicated to mentoring, where older and more experienced attorneys help and encourage the learning by newer attorneys throughout the country. From its humble beginnings at the direction of then Chief Justice Warren E. Burger, our organization has grown to nearly 400 inns around the country. The Bankruptcy Inn here in New Jersey is one of 9 dedicated to the practice of bankruptcy law and a founder of the new Bankruptcy Inn of Court Alliance. This video is presented to give you a brief glimpse into the history of our inn and is presented by the current president, former presidents, judges, and most importantly, members of the bar who have shared their experiences as part of our inn. We hope you enjoy it.
The Inn of Court gives young lawyers, newer lawyers, an opportunity to discuss matters with more experienced lawyers. It gives the more experienced lawyers an opportunity to mentor some of the newer lawyers. It's an opportunity for lawyers to learn more about professionalism and to do that in the context of a collegial atmosphere, working together with other lawyers and with the judges who also participate.
Well, I think the Inn has been a great way to foster the bankruptcy community and to allow people who are practicing law in this specialized area to feel that they're part of the group and that they have a place to come to socialize, share some ideas, get some practice tips, but mostly to feel like they're active participants in a community. And the bankruptcy practice is a community. It's growing, it's fairly large, so it's a place where someone who doesn't have as much experience can come and get to meet the people that have been around for a while, that are familiar with the practice, and welcome them into the community.
I served 7 years as president. As you know, in New Jersey, we have the tradition now of the chief judge acting as the president of the inn, and it gave me a chance to work with the amazing people who plan the programs, who have their creative juices flowing to make things interesting and vibrant and continuing. Andy Turner, of course, being at the forefront of that process year after year after year.
The Inn matters to me because it's a great place to hear from other bankruptcy professionals and learn a lot more about the practice. And me particularly, we do mostly creditor work, so I get to see more of what goes on the debtor side and the consumer side of bankruptcy.
Well, I joined the Inn because I'm a relatively new bankruptcy attorney. I just started practicing 5 years ago. And as a solo, the Inn gives me access to just a wealth of connections, information, courage that I wouldn't have had if I hadn't joined.
I believe that it allows the young people coming into practice to learn the level of practice, the procedure rather, that and the standards that the court expects of them in a relaxed atmosphere. And it allows experienced attorneys to keep up with case law and to enjoy the experience of other attorneys and young people who are coming behind them, as well as the judges, in a congenial atmosphere.
And so I believe that in the electronic age where there's not as much face time with the court, people file pleadings electronically and there's not as much court time, and I think this is a great opportunity not only for the judges but for the younger and more senior lawyers to get together and meet people and establish better relationships by getting together. It also does help to have more senior lawyers training junior lawyers and to have it.
The initial meetings were 10, 15, 18 people. And you know, in the last few years, we've really grown it to 25, 30 people. I took over running, for more or less better terms, running the South in about 2005, 2004, about a year before the law changes took place. And it was an exciting time. Basically everybody was on equal footing. We had people with 30, 40 years experience who were just as eager to participate in the Inn as people with 1 or 2 years experience, because we were now at a point where we were all on equal footing with the law.
The Inn matters to me because of the opportunity to meet with both the bench and the bar in a setting that is more relaxed and comfortable to be able to discuss current issues of bankruptcy law.
Oh, the Inn is where we learn a lot about what's going on in other parts of the bankruptcy practice. It's where you see people you might not see every day and keep the connections among people going.
I'm a solo practitioner, and I don't have a lot of opportunity to see other people, other attorneys, especially in the bankruptcy area. And this is an opportunity to meet people and to get to know them.
I participated with the Inn because I want to educate myself on basic bankruptcy concepts, and I also want to keep updated with new emerging issues. And
I have been out of the private practice of law for 20 years. However, I started my practicing law with a clerkship with Judge Gambardella, just about the time that the Inn was being formed. And I remember her commitment, along with Judge Wismer, Judge Toohey, Judge Moore, to getting the Inn off the ground, as well as with some of the fabulous practitioners in this area. And initially, and now being back to the practice, the private practice of law, I know it's a place I have to start to get involved.
What I've found is since I started practicing, the Inns have helped bridge. I pretty much know everybody that's on things that I file. You know, if I file a motion, I get a response. There's a good percentage chance that the people have either participated in the Inn at some point or currently participate in the Inn.
So I graduated last year as a student of the Inn, and it was an exceptional experience. I was so pleased to be invited to participate in the Inn for one, and share the experience with my colleagues. The judges are often at our meetings. We have other professionals that participate in the meetings that give us their insight as far as CPAs are concerned, or maybe even appraisers for valuation hearings. And that was all just in my first year. So I'm really excited that this is about to begin my second year.
I've been participating in the Inn for over 10 years, and it's been invaluable in helping me stay abreast of bankruptcy law, and a wonderful opportunity to meet and talk with other bankruptcy practitioners. I believe I've participated for over 10 years. Actually, I did the North Jersey Inn before there was a South Jersey Inn. I was one of the only lawyers from the South Jersey who actually was crazy enough to take the train to Newark. But at the time, I had my own practice, and I found that being able to go to North Jersey and meet with judges and other lawyers who specialized in bankruptcy was an opportunity for me to learn from people who had more experience than me, and just it was very helpful to me.
I've been with this Bankruptcy Inns of Court since its commencement. I've been a participant as a student, as a barrister, and as a master, and therefore my time with the Inn has been for approximately 20 years.
I was one of the original founders of the Inn back in 1992 after Judge Moore died. A group of us met and wanted to do something to honor his memory, and one suggestion was to start a specialty inn and a bankruptcy inn of court, which is what we did. And I participated in it for approximately 7 years, maybe a little longer, and it's meant the world to me. The mission of the American Inns of Court is to foster mentoring, civility, and professionalism. And
Judge Camisa, a graduate of Notre Dame, played football at Notre Dame, taught for a brief period of time, was in the Army for a brief period of time. He was a lover of music, opera, and the arts, but he was really a lover of young people, a real supporter of young people. So I think it's apt that his name is on our banner. Judge Joseph DeVito, he also was a splendid, very elegant man. He, in fact, was born down the shore, as we say. He was a member of the American Federation of Musicians. He led the Dom DeVito Orchestra at the Berkeley Carteret Hotel in Asbury Park. But he also was a great teacher for young bankruptcy lawyers and professionals. Judge Dan Moore, he had perhaps the greatest sense of humor that one could have. He had a sharp wit. He also was a teacher. He was a certified public accountant. He taught accounting for lawyers at Seton Hall University. And these men all had a great impact, as I said, on generations of young people. And so the Inn is an organization that mentors young bankruptcy lawyers and bankruptcy professionals, stands for civility, stands for ethics, stands for professionalism, legal excellence. So I think we're proud not only of the Inn, but of the fact that we could honor these great judges. And so generations later will ask the same questions that you're asking me, who were they?
The culture of the Inn is to foster an open space where you can explore issues, because practicing law, is tough, and you don't want to necessarily show that you have any flaws. And it's a place where you can feel comfortable, possibly exploring issues that you may not be 100% confident about. And before you take a step in the real world, you want to learn about what your best course of action can be.
The collegiality of the bench and the bar, and I have found that it's not so difficult to find your answers to the questions of law, but it's the practice that really it's very helpful when you have experienced lawyers and judges who participate in forming the standards for good practice.
The programming, everything from changes in the treatment of automobiles to the foreclosure, the weeks on foreclosure that we did. It's just hard to replace, and this is a very inexpensive way to get the knowledge. I think the listserv, as I mentioned, is it's just the best thing. When I've gone to conferences, I find that in other states they don't have the sort of listserv that we have, where you can pose a question, get a response back sometimes as quickly as 5 minutes, but certainly within 4 hours. Sometimes even on the weekend and very late at night, you have a question, there's somebody out there, they'll give you the answer and often the support that you need to get a good job done.
Well, there's a couple of things. The new cases that it advises you of new case law, which is good. And it also helps because you get the ideas of the other attorneys that are there, and you kind of you understand what their outlook is on certain things. I think it maybe helps when you have to settle matters and work with the attorneys, because it's a discussion.
Topic memos are a big part of the learning process at the Inn. It only helps to make your knowledge of the law just that much more superior and refined. So when you're actually practicing in front of the judges or with your colleagues in maybe an adversarial situation, you can get past all of the road bumps and unsure of which way something's going to play out.
And by eating together, by rubbing elbows with each other, learning from each other, you can't help. But when you need something, when you need to ask a question, you reach out and you can find the answer.
The Inn has just helped me in terms of focusing on the latest and greatest in terms of keeping up with case law and trends and practice. It helps me be sharper as a lawyer, and which is necessary today if you're trying to handle bankruptcy cases.
In particular, I find helpful is the online ability to pose some sort of question and then have some people respond and get several opinions. I find that particularly helpful. And then, you know, the best part is the opportunity to meet the judges and, you know, hear from them and see them not just as practitioners and, you know, professionals, but also as people.
I'm not practicing bankruptcy law as long as Bruce, and I do more of the behind the scenes. So I want to get to meet the other attorneys so they think I really exist.
Probably the best example would be the listserv, where people can submit questions and anybody else that's a member of the Inn can respond with different answers, and a lot of times you'll get many different perspectives on the same question.
There's a lot of camaraderie with the Inn of Court that you don't see elsewhere. So for me, it's been about, you know, number one, you know, learning things, and then from a mentoring standpoint, you know, just bouncing things around, having, you know, the listserv, being able to pick up the phone and call somebody to see if they've ever experienced that type of situation. So for me, it's just a combination of things, and you know, and sometimes you know, very civil, like learning, you know, type of atmosphere that's made it very good for people to try to, you know, improve themselves that way.
You just, it's so stimulating and so much fun. There's no other environment in which I think we can have that type of experience.
I think that the bankruptcy practice is rather unique, especially in New Jersey. There's only a handful of firms that really have, like, I guess what you would call a bankruptcy department. So a lot of lawyers are either in small shops or on their own and don't quite have the ability to walk into the office next door and ask the senior partner or a more experienced bankruptcy lawyer, gee, you know, how do you have a brief on this particular issue, or how do I handle it? And that's where I find that this Inn is particularly helpful to lawyers, because we can all pool our resources together and be able to.
One of the main tenets of what the American Inns of Court is all about, but that is to help others grow within your field of law. And it does that specifically by the way it structures the classes themselves, by the way we've created all different types of official and mentoring establishments, whether you have an official mentor and a mentee. It also does it by the different types of class structures. So you have a round table setting, you have breakout sessions, which have a little more of a smaller, intimate setting, whereby issues can be delved into a little bit deeper. But throughout all of the different classes, you truly have a cooperative learning experience. And no matter whether it's the round table with the judges, who are fantastic participants in our Inn, or whether it's the each individual class outside of that round table, they're all about cooperative, collaborative learning, which I think is just a hallmark of the mentorship that is part of our Inn.
Sure. I had a young lawyer who actually has called me a couple of times privately, because he's heard me speak at the Inn on topics ranging from individual Chapter 11 cases to the interplay between family law and bankruptcy, where I'm a little bit of an expert. And I felt free to give him whatever knowledge I could give him, because he's sort of part of the team.
The other thing, I think, as far as the overall practice in the district, the big part about the Inn is bringing young lawyers up to speed. You know, especially, I think, a lot of lawyers who are practicing big firms at the moment learn a lot of the consumer stuff they might otherwise be exposed to, which they find themselves doing down the road.
I'm just so happy that we have such a vibrant Inn with such a wonderful group of lawyers who participate in it. And it's been a pleasure for me to be part of it, and I look forward to that going on for a very lengthy period of time.
We hope you've enjoyed this brief glimpse into the first 20 years of the Bankruptcy Inn of Court's history. This video was produced and dedicated with a great deal of thanks and gratitude to all of those judges, members of the bar, and extended bankruptcy court family who have helped make this inn such a great success. We look forward to the next 20 years. Thank you.